Well, there it is. Hello, welcome to a video that is going to explain my judging in the Hiveworkshop melee map in contest number 3. So the results are out and we're going to go over them. I've created this, which will be the thumbnail as well of this video. But that is essentially the results. It's in alphabetical order, those maps. The white number, for example, the 8th at the top left, that represents the overall score. So you can see the winners, and you can see which ones didn't do so well. You have the green text, 11th, which is where I placed that map for me personally, and there's 15 maps to go through, so I'm going to have to do this relatively quickly, otherwise we'll be here all day. And the red, 5th, represents Sour's score of where he put Arctic Dream. So you also have underneath that, WTii gave it a score of 43 in the green text, and Sour gave it a score of 73. So if you look at that, that'll help you guide yourself in terms of understanding where everything is placed and how it's ended there. So let's actually go over the details of this contest. I will read it out. Create a 4v4 melee map that excels in balance, terrain, dynamic, and creativity, while being suitable for the Warcraft 3 Reforged. So prizes are reputation points, and the judges are myself and Sour. Here you have the participants. Here are their maps, and here are the overall scores. So the winner being the Nerubian Passage, that got a 80 score from me, and an 89 from War3 Sour. And there's also a poll that was done. So 80% of the winner shall be determined by the contest appointed judges, and then there's 20% that's determined by the poll. So the poll, 15 points were given to Nerubian. The only one that beat this was 18 points given to Northern Felwood. So there you go. That's basically it. If you go, I'll obviously put a link to this in the video description below in case you're curious. So you can see the first place, the second place, the third place. You've got basically our review. So you got my PDF file, which I'm going to basically start reading from after I go through each of these maps. So I'm just going to basically read the comments. I came up with these results about almost a month ago, so it's been a while since I've last seen this map, so I'm going to try to refresh my memory a bit live. And you can also see Sour's. His one actually looks a lot better than mine, but I'll give you a brief look at how he did his. Cafes, thank you very much there for the sub. So he's got these tips and suggestions. Don't clutter the map, give plenty of room for pathing, provide objectives and interesting points, don't have creeps stand in pathways. These are basically the things that we were judging upon. So this is where your score is being put into. Things that affect balance, things that affect aesthetics, things that affect terrain, things that affect overall feeling for the players. Is it good? Is it new? Does it bring much to the table? So those kind of things. And then you got all of his score going there. So my one's a bit more simple, but it still gets the point done. And for example, we'll take a quick look at it. But I've actually got it on my left monitor where I'll read it from here. So you can just quickly jump to any of these. This is my review. And I'll be basically reading out all of these bits that I've just said. And I'll try to locate them on the map. So unfortunately I didn't do any fancy pictures, but I made up with it with this. So let's get going, shall we? The first map being Arctic, well, was it again? Arctic Dream. Okay. Well, we'll be the judge of that, and we have judged. So I'm going to view the entire map to begin with, so you can get a grasp, and then I'm going to go over my points. This is the middle part, and we'll zoom out a little bit. So if I come over, we're going to talk about balance first. Is the map balanced for both teams? I don't think I'm going to talk about that one because let me just demonstrate how this has worked. We give out of 50 points balance. So each map basically got 10 out of 10 for map balance, apart from I think one of them because it was broken, or a couple of them. But for the most part, this is a bit of a freebie in getting points. As long as your map is symmetrical to the point where no player is at a disadvantage, you're going to get points. And there's no reason for me to downvote it. Then the next one out of 10 would be, are positions and distances between points interest fair? And then the next one out of 10 is, does the map allow the 4 races to be balanced? So is Night Elf going to have an advantage over others, or is it going to be too weak? You got to take all of that into account. Next one is pathing, resources fair for each race. So gold mines for human players. Is there nearby gold mine filled with level 10 rock golems? And the next one being creep camps. So all of those take into account 50 points, and this is a total of 100. Then you've got 35 points, which takes into account the terrain. How does it flow? Is it pleasing? Does it satisfy your eyes? Is the map repetitive? And then lastly, out of 15 points is the creativity and uniqueness. Basically, does it bring something new to the table? So that's the criteria. And with all of that explained, I will start to hopefully briefly move on to actually explaining these maps and what I said. So, are positions and distance between points of interest fair? Let's have a look, shall we? I said that shipyards, waygates allow players to traverse the map and its interests. However, the destructible doodads hamper the game flow. So things like these dirty rocks that you can see in the middle there. And this here, that's a gate. You have to break that down in order to access the marketplace. So the way gates at least allow you to access various points in the map, but it's pretty clunky and cumbersome. And I'll do a little sort of like scroll over so you can get a feel. But remember, we're not going to spend too much time on this map. So whilst I'm reading, I'm just going to be like scrolling over to the right and then down a little bit so you can sort of see as well. Does the map allow the 4 races to be balanced? Human may struggle to block off their base, and map heavily encourages mass air, which favors orc and undead only. So the reason why I said humans struggle to block off their base is because there's this huge open space here, and you are kind of forced in. It is a little bit tricky, but this is just minor points, most of this. It just all goes towards a greater score. The pathing resources, are they fair for each race? Whilst the map has a strong naval theme, I think that scrolls too fast. Is there a way for me to scroll that more smoothly? Because that would be helpful for myself. But I don't know if there is. Probably not off the fly. Only Nick would know. I don't think it's going to scroll too smoothly. So I have to do it like with the right click. Okay. So whilst the map has a strong naval theme, so by that I mean there are there's this emphasis on trying to take a boat to get access to this shipyard over here, because the pathing, this is what we swapped to here right now, is the pathing. You can't access that with ground units. You can access this part with ground units. You might not be able to see it so clearly, but you can walk along that. But to this, you'd have to get a boat to get over to that. So it's pretty cumbersome. And then you've got boat yards over here, so they're not all that easy for other players. So I don't, any map with boats, I'm not going to give it too many points. You can press W to turn the water off for a moment of clarity. Oh, I see. Yes. So the purple stuff is the pathing that you can't walk across unless you have a boat. That's basically deep water. So you kind of get the idea. And if you do that, you can see on the minimap how much of this there is. So there's this theme for naval, but I'm never a big fan of that, so I don't think that really works towards a good game. It also says clunky blockades, so the clunky blockades being just essentially these weird straight pathing that you can't get past, and then this, it kind of works because you can come round, but at the same time it looks a little bit cluttered, a little bit full of itself. I'm going to move on. I'm going to try to go a bit quicker here. So creep camps and item drops. Most creep camps are very powerful, some with nice rewards and others very lacking. Creep routes look a little predictable, with most spots being uncreepable solo easily. So if you're a solo player, you pretty much have to play as a team on this one. Yes, I know it's a 4v4 map, but a lot of us 4v4 players actually sort of get by sort of like creeping stuff ourselves for the most part, and then working as a team for the bigger spots. Whereas this one has a lot of red spots and not many light green camps that you could possibly do by yourself. So there's not much of a build up unless you go to these clunky spots over here. Wow. We're going to move on to, is the map visually pleasing? You tell me. I said that the theme is strong with an attention to detail in regards to mixing up the tile spread. So there is effort being put into that tile spread. But it doesn't look that good as such. But it's effort being put in. So I try to be a bit generous, I suppose, in some cases. However, the doodads are obnoxious. And many set pieces look a bit too obvious and stand out instead of blending into their environment. It is perhaps a little bare in many places. A bit too basic overall. And I think, yeah, seeing as I wrote that, I do agree with that. Thanks for doing this review, says Jelly. You're welcome. Aesthetic. Oh, yeah, I didn't actually say what the points was that I gave this. So I gave it 5 out of 15 for map, visual, the visual. I gave it 1 out of 10 for its aesthetics. Is it well designed, but not overly obstructive? I gave it 1 out of 10 because aesthetic takes precedence over gameplay. So what I was basically saying is the map creator seemed to get a little bit obsessed with creating these weird doodad points that I feel hurt the gameplay more than did it any favors. So he's got this clunky walls and things like that. The map creativity, there's a naval theme, but it's unfortunately most of the time this theme sucks because gameplay is clunky at best if it's utilized, which you have even warp gates here that you could use with your boats to get to like the other side, but no one's gonna really be doing that stuff. So I gave that 5 out of 15. Overall score, we can see it has 8th, 11th for me, and 5th for War-Free Sour. So let's move on to the next map, which is Burning Steps. If you guys have got any criticism as to how I'm doing this, because I know I sound a bit too rambly here, but I'm trying it. I'm doing it in alphabetical order, not in like first, second, third, and all of that. So yeah, I mean, sometimes when you open these maps up, you just basically you know what you're getting into, like for the very first glimpse. It's funny, but you got to think, is that realistically going to be in a 4 versus 4 map? Kidson says, I'll do that from last to first. Other than that, it's fine. I don't have them in the... I could do it from last to first, if you want. Yeah, okay. Let's do it last to first, and then I've got to sort of scroll up a bit. So... that last map was 8th. So we'll just... when we get to the 8th position, we'll screw that. It's not too late. We'll just... basically, when it gets to the 8th position, we'll just move on to 7th. So you got the idea. That's like a tester. So we'll take a look at Underground Fortress. This is basically last place. So hold on to your butts. This is going to hurt. Let's view the entire map. So that's the entire map. Perhaps it doesn't look that bad when it's like that. Here's the score pan. So you can see at the bottom right, it got 15th overall. 15th from myself and 15th from Sour. So this is the map. And if we look at, say, for example, Red's position, this is where you spawn. There's these trees, then doodads behind, and then that accesses to like an expansion behind Red. So let's go over this. I gave this map 17 points out of 100 in total. For balance, I gave it 4 out of 50. So that gives you an idea. Is the map balanced for both teams? I mean, I guess it's equal, but allied priorities are not fixed correctly, so players can spawn on the other team's side and vice versa. So if you're a map maker, you need to sort out your priorities here by making it so that player 1 is prioritized with pink and blue. So the nearest color and the furthest away color, that kind of thing. That way, when you start the map, and each player, if they've got that, so blue would be with red and teal. So it's not necessarily the furthest away color, it's just the 2 colors that would be next to you on either side. So think of it as like a clock, and you were 12 o'clock, it would be 1 o'clock and 11 o'clock. And if you was 3 o'clock, it would be 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock. So the players are always lining up next to each other. But when I tested this map, you spawned pretty much anywhere. So you could have one part of the team over here, another part over here, another part over here. It's not great. So I said that I dare say, are the positions, distance, points between players of interest fair? I say, I dare say it doesn't require a lengthy explanation as to why there are issues with players being able to reach vital points of interest. Just look at the map. Does the map allow 4 races to be balanced? Air, air, air. This is an absolute nightmare for ground armies. Pathing resources fair for each race. Pathing is straightforward, but mega clunky. With such long paths, at least each player gets resources in the form of an expansion though. And creep camps and item drops. This is the craziest item drop list I've ever seen. So chaotic. And the creeps themselves are bonkers. So to give you like, you got these huge long paths. And then as you get over here, you've got stuff like this. Like, what am I looking at right now? I don't know. But needless to say, this is not how you should balance the map. I don't feel like I need to go over the whole thing. But it should be quite clear. And yeah, anyway, talking about terrain, I gave this 6 points out of 35. Is the map visually pleasing in terms of terrain, doodad, and placement and overall theme? I said this is the best role-playing game map I have ever seen. All joking aside, I'm perplexed at the overly complicated design. Such utter chaos. Is the aesthetic well designed, but not overly obstructive? I said if the map doesn't have green colours, I'd rate it even lower. Even then, the green is quite sickly. And it is, isn't it? It is like this kind of sickly-ish, fomitous green going on. I don't know how he quite managed to pull that off. Is the map repetitive? I gave it 3 out of 10. The map is incredibly linear, but you could at least have fun with the creeping. And you would. You would have a bit of a weird fun time with the bizarre creeping. So, overall, Underground Fortress got 17 out of 100. So, whilst I load up my next map, I will take a look at the list. So I've got to see who's next. Okay, Burning Steps. So we were actually almost on the right one. Burning Steps is the next map. So that map got 14th overall. 13th from myself, 14th from Sour. So take off this, and here we have Burning Steps. Let's go to view the entire map. Let's come up to the top and click on Burning Steps to give my review. So for me, this map got, wow, I mean, this map got 31 out of 100. For balance, it got 18 out of 50. Are the positions and distances between points of interest fair? I said there's 2 labs in each corner, which there are, and a shop miles out of the way. It feels terrible for both defending and attacking players' possibilities game-wise. So I had big issues with like how far away the neutral buildings were. They're very clunky and just awkward to get to overall. I'll zoom out a little bit and I'll scroll around the map so you can make your own judge. I'll scroll in a bit more, and as I'm reading this, I will say, does the map allow the 4 races to be balanced? I said there's too many bridges, makes this very tricky for orc players, or just large teams of units overall. As usual, air will dominate. Is the pathing resources fair for each race? I said a gold mine for each player, but some gold mines are more equal than others. Yes, I think that was because some gold mines had different rates, but I'm not going to check because I don't remember. Creep camps and item drops. At least there's a lot to creep and do, but it's so sporadic and simplistic that it hurts to look at. Also, I imagine the pathing, trying to avoid certain creep camps, will be both cumbersome and annoying. Item drops towards the middles get bonkers imbalanced. So, what I was talking about is like these lizards and stuff like that. There's a lot of things in a way. Like if you're trying to pass by these bridges, you are going to aggro. You are going to aggro a lot. This guy, this one level 10 dragon, drops a level 7 item, a level 8 item, and a level 2 power-up item. Like, I don't... A level 7 and a level 8. So that's what I was referring to in terms of the creeps. It gets a little bit weak at the start, but as you get closer towards the middle, it's quite similar to like RPG. So visually for the map, is it pleasing? I said the first thing I did was laugh when I saw the giant volcano. Sure, it's a theme and the map follows suit. It looks like some Skyrim dungeon or something that tickles my fancy, but does nothing to appease my common game sense, rendering it very poor if I stick to using logic. Is the aesthetic well designed? Very obstructive, with bridges linking everywhere. This will be a pain for most players to endure. Is the map repetitive? Yes, in the sense that it is very bare bones and simplistic. Alas, there are potential fun imbalances to be exploited with creeping, but that is not very good for balance. For creativity and uniqueness, this map... excuse me. It's going to drain my throat, and I'm only on like the third map. Yes, a giant volcano... Oh, hang on a second. Does the map bring something new or creative to the table? Yes, a giant volcano. Not even Ragnaros the Fire Lord could summon something so impressive. So if you want to see, if you go to game camera, this is what your camera would look like in game. So yeah, so there you go. That's that. So next map on the list looks like it's going to be Treacherous Waters. So we'll go and pull up Treacherous Waters, put that on. I'll go find it so you can have a look at that. So Treacherous Waters is 13th overall, 14th from me, 11th from Sour. I gave this map 26 out of 50 points in total, 26 out of 100 in total. So this map I have quite a strong dislike towards, mostly because of how it would play, gameplay wise. Sour didn't seem to have so much of an issue with it though, but I said that this map actually is zero balance for both teams. The fixed spawn positions are ticked on, meaning that depending on the colour, players will spawn accordingly so. I'm not 100% sure how this would work on ladder, but testing it in the editor on the Warcraft 3 proves that this is an issue. So it just forces players, if you played, for example, you know how you go into 4 versus 4 RT and you might be the colour green or the colour orange or the colour red. That's where you're going to spawn. So if you have red, orange, green and blue in the same team, they're going to spawn exactly where it shows. Red, blue, orange, green, I assume. So I gave it minus points on that. I can't test it because it's not on the ladder. So anyway, taking a look at this. Our positions and distance points of interest fair. I said neutral camps are accessible, but the pathing is incredibly linear, which it is. You basically either go this way or you go this way. So the pathing is incredibly linear, meaning other points of interest are very tough to reach. So you've got a shop here and you've got a tavern here, and that's more or less it. There's a boatyard here. The pathing resource is fair for each race. There's some interesting concepts here, particularly around the shop with the shallow water. I think I like this, but not much else, unfortunately. Like this sort of tree line, sort of like coming through the shallow waters. The enemies can pass through here to get easy access or come around this way. When am I making a how to make a melee map guide? I'm not planning on doing that, but you can get some ideas as to how I think. The creep camps and item drops. Green creep camps are quite good and at least different from the norm, utilising the theme well. Item drops are pretty good. A few more opportunities for higher level permanent items would be nice, level 4 and 5. For example, the Murgle Marauder, which I think is at the top here, this guy, I said that he has 1000 health but only drops a level 2 permanent item. This should be a level 5 perma item if he has a few extra Murlocs, for example ones with slow nearby, to prevent abusing the camp too much for easy rewards. So yeah, level 2 permanent reward, level 2 permanent item for a 1000 health creature is a little bit much, but otherwise the creep camps weren't
Not sure what
too bad.
It is, but here it is. XD.
XD. Thank you, Green Arrow. So moving on, we have the terrain. Is the map visually pleasing? The theme has been attempted and holds up somewhat, so that's the nautical theme. There is effort with the boatyards, and these would never be allowed on ladder, I think, though. And the creeps trapped in the shallow water and the mid-map that drop perma-sentry wards for keeping an eye on naval battle. I liked that to some degree. Like, if you kill this guy, he drops a Rune of the Watcher. So you can actually sort of see a path, a part of the territory that they would go past if they were using boats. But boats are just never really going to be used in this game, to be quite frank. Also, I don't like the lack of open space pathways and linear gameplay that will inevitably play through. So I like the idea of the effort that's been put in with the theme, like getting a boat, landing on this island, killing these creatures to get that reward, then getting back in the boat and going about your business. But I just don't see it, really. Aesthetically, is the map well designed? The attempted theme just hampers the actual gameplay, causing a clunky, awkward playstyle for all that could be involved. Is the map repetitive? Aside from the boats, very much so. Yeah, apart from the boat gameplay, the map would be basically the same every single time you played it. Does the map bring something new or creative? At least it has boats going for it. Boats. So this is the map for boats. Okay, so coming back to this, let's take a look at the next map on the list, which will be Frozen Peak at 12th place. So Frozen Peak, that got 9th from me and 6th from Sour. So I'm just going to load that one up, Frozen Peak. I like boats. Yeah. I like big boats, and I cannot lie. So let's take this off and let's come over to Frozen Peak, which is the map we should be taking a look at now. I hope I'm doing this right, because there's another map called Frozen. I'm just going to check this again. 11th, and that was 12th, the one before. So this, yeah, no, we're moving on to the 12th now. So 12th is Frozen Peak, yeah. Because there's one that's called Frost Flow as well. You can demonstrate the pathing really well by using Control-T twice and Control-D once. Hang on a second. So Control-T twice. Oh, yeah. And Control-D once. And Control-W. Oh my god. What just happened? I just went back to the last map. Nick, what did you do to me? Alright. Don't worry. Nick knows more about the map editor than I do. I'm just going to break things if I try stuff. So I probably won't. Yeah, I'm aware of like the pathing, showing the pathing and stuff like that. So that's the pathing. You can see the naval. So this map looks actually fairly good. It looks particularly good on the mini-map. However, I feel my score on this one brought this map down because of the middle part and other aspects of the map that I didn't like, and I'm going to go over those parts when I've actually read what it is that I wrote. No, Nick. No. Let's not try to do stuff. Let's not try to break anything. I can do this in my spare time. Frozen Peak. Okay. Are the positions and distances between points of interest fair? I said that the taverns are quite far. Neutral camps seem accessible for the most part. However, the middle of the map looks like a minefield and causes unnecessary difficulty and clunkiness to gameplay. So what happens here in the middle of the map is you've got these gigantic creeps, level 42. And then if you want to come up this ramp, you've got to go through these, or you can try to sneak your army around the side here at the very least. But I don't think you can sneak past them on this side, so it's not even equal in that sense. So to get to the other team, if you were spawned over here, you would have to basically go through the middle, or there is the option of the way gates here, and that will teleport you over to the other side. But I'm not a huge fan of way gates in my melee games. I don't think most people are. They're kind of cool, but they're also very hard to follow as a player. Just what's happening sometimes. It gets really chaotic and people are like dum 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 dum, and they're teleporting all over the place. And it gets really messy. So ideally, don't make way gates. I get it. And it's actually surprising. A lot of these maps that have been suggested for this have actually involved way gates. You've already noticed. Although, have you noticed how these have actually been at the bottom of the scores? So way gates might have something to do with that. However, my favourite map out of all of these does actually have a waygate, but it actually uses it well, I'm pretty sure. So, anyway. Does the map allow the 4 races to be balanced? I say, feels like playing air would be good again. It is a bit of a cop-out. No, sorry, let me rephrase that because it's about context. Feels like saying air will be good again is a bit of a cop-out. But it's honestly a major concern I have over 4 versus 4 RT balance. And this map looks like a joy to behold if you have a large group of air units. Again, Orc and Undead Triumph. So yeah, unfortunately there's not much you can do to balance a map perfectly and have me be completely satisfied, because air is always going to be strong and air is always going to break the game. So the best way to get around that is to have as many open pathways as possible, allowing players to traverse the map, because that means ground armies can move around the map freely and be more likely to catch air and therefore be a counter to air. The more of these linear pathways that you create, the stronger air is. Okay, does the map allow the 4 races to be balanced? I answered that. Pathing resource is fair for each race. I honestly have problems with the pathing in this one. So, whilst it is brave to offer many pathways, which you can see, these are the spawning positions for the players here, blue here. So they've got like completely different bases that they have to sort of like deal with, which is unique and varied, but it also can be a bit cumbersome. And there was a map like this in Reign of Chaos, and it was always one player was very weak on one of the sides than the others. Let's have a look. Those cliffs around the middle with just the one ramp up really need a ramp down on the other side. I was going to say, Green Arrow, didn't you just sub? But yes, thank you very much there for gifting a sub to Sarah. Congratulations, Sarah, for the gifted sub. So what was I talking about? Whilst it is often brave to offer many pathways, it goes off on a tangent with it. Oh, I know this is what I'm talking about. This sort of area. With it, some paths are blocked with unkillable doodads, except trees. Others, so that was this area over here. There's a bit at the back, this area. So you got these kind of like rocks in between certain players. It is actually equal for both teams, but it's like I don't like the rocks. And then there's a waygate here as well. And there are many strange and up and down cliff hills. The map is ambitious in trying to accomplish a lot, but I fear it falls short and causes more problems than it solves with this complex affair of pathways. So you've got like this around to here, around to here. It feels more like an RPG map. I'd almost rather play it as an RPG single player campaign level than competitive online gameplay. Well, I can, at least you know I'm being honest, because when I just said that RPG comment, I didn't know I actually wrote that down afterwards. And then that was my next thing. So these are literally just my thoughts, basically. Creep camps and item drops. Too much cherry picking with the item drop lists, and the creeps are unbearable. So those creeps don't look too bad over there, but they're kind of weird on their way. That is, yeah, pretty horrible. That's not so bad. That's not too bad. That's a little bit powerful and strong. I think it's as we get closer to the middle, the creeps definitely become a bit bad. 2 rock golems up on this, and then yeah, it just gets a bit worse towards the middle. So I was basically saying there's too much cherry picking with the drop list. Oh, I see. So I'm not a big fan of people that create their own lists, so to speak. That's up to Blizzard to balance, and at the moment it seems to work for the most part. I admit some items are better than others and could be changed around, and I would probably change them myself, but for the time being, don't try to create too much of your own passive, like 40%, 14%, 5% of this, 16% of that, 24% of that. Like, it's a bit... Like, what is so many... There's just so many options here, and all this stuff that can potentially drop. Anyway, you can see what I mean. Right. So, moving on to, is the map visually pleasing? At first glance, the map is impressive. It tries a lot, but unfortunately fails at most of it. There is just too much going on that would definitely hurt the gameplay with teammates struggling to coordinate with one another. Aesthetic, The way gates offer a way to traverse past the clunky terrain and pathing, but it's not a solution I'd like. If the pathing is solid, the gateways aren't needed at all. Is the map repetitive? I gave it 8 out of 10, which is normally a good score. So 0 out of 10 would be bad on map repetitive, and 10 out of 10 would be good. It gets points for certainly not being boring. I'd have a good time soloing stuff on this map as a challenge, but I don't think that's right. A 4v4 map should not really play like an RPG, despite me enjoying that aspect of it. That's just a guilty personal preference. Greedy experience / items for solo skill versus creep camps. So there's a lot of creep camps that gives like some really good rewards. That a strong solo player or someone that knows how to utilize range and creep leashing could basically get themselves some very strong items relatively easy. I like that aspect, and that should definitely be in every 4 versus 4 map, but I feel like there was too much of it in this map. Nick says, I like the idea of one specific creep camp dropping, say, sentry wards. Yes, I don't know. I feel like sentry wards are too strong in melee. I feel like sentry wards could be nerfed a bit. They last for too long, the ones that you can get. It's essentially map hack for the most part. If you put them in a couple of prime points, you know where your opponent's going to be pretty much anywhere on the map, if you're a strong enough player. And you can get those items potentially right at the start. So I'm not a huge fan of the sentry ward item because of that. It's a huge buff if you get it, but if your opponent gets it, it sucks for you. As a fan says, oh, map reviews are an awesome idea. Yeah, I'm not doing many of them. This is just a one-off, and I'm just compiling it all into one video because I'm not going to like separate all of this. Sentries should become level 3 charged from 2. We'll see. I think I would have changes with that. Okay, so what was the next point? Alright, creativity and uniqueness, I gave it 9 out of 15. Points here because it does. It's quite unique, but that isn't for the greater good, unfortunately. Many places are out of the way just to fill up space. Awkward shop placement in the corners and gold mines and the odd scattered creeps to filler. See, you got this like weird stuff going on in the corner. It's like he ran out of ideas or got a bit too crazy. If you just got rid of this and made more of an open pathway and less linear for the red's position, that would open it up a bit more. But, yeah. There you go. So, Nick says maybe something like a summon unit then. Oh, I'm not going to go into details on that. I'm just going to concentrate on this. Like I say, I'm going to be here all day otherwise. So, next is... We've just done Frozen Peaks. Next is Scar of Northrend. So, Scar of Northrend is 11th. That got 7th from me and 12th from Sour. So, definitely a difference of opinion there. So, let's take a look at that, shall we? Scar of Northrend. Okay. So, swapping that back over. This was really intimidating to look at on the minimap. But it's actually not that bad. It's just not that good. So, it's basically middle of the pack. 7th. Which is where... did I put it? 7th? I think I put it. I think I put it 7th. Yeah, did I? I did say that, didn't I? Yeah. Okay. So, let's take a look at this map. I gave it 52 points out of 100. So now we start to get to like the halfway mark. 52 points out of 100. For me, personally, anyway. Is the map balanced for both teams? Left versus right. So, you spawn here. You got red, blue, teal, purple. Actually, red's over here. But I don't think that actually interferes because the players spawn as according to the team. So that should work out. Anyway, are positions and distance points of interest fair? Gold mines are a little out of the way for all races, particularly human. Neutral camps are reachable, but a little secluded down certain pathways. Not a massive deal though. So, if we look at red's position, this is where you start. You would break out here. Goodness me. Okay, so that is pathable, the blue, What that blue refers to is it's buildable terrain. You can't build on the dark blue, but otherwise you can walk over it. So you can actually go this way, you can go this way. Taverns nearby. Gold mines nearby-ish. By the time your militia get over there, they would be pretty knackered. But it's doable, and it's not too difficult. So each player kind of has their own gold mine that isn't too challenging. So this wouldn't be a terrible map to play on 4 versus 4, because each player gets a gold mine, and that way they can all build up to more powerful units. Does the map allow the 4 races to be balanced? Many creeps are strong, obviously particularly in the middle here, in this map. And Night Elf can creep them easily with an Ancient of War plus archers in comparison to other races. So stuff like this would be very easy. Ancient of War could be placed down in multiple places here, like over here. Eat the tree, pull this creep back, and then you can also creep that afterwards. Same goes for this creep camp here, or moving on to this one. So there's... a Night Elf would have a great time on this. Air could also prove issues for ground armies to catch up with once they go down a certain path. So you basically go down all the time here. So you can see there's this path in that goes around here, or all the way around here. So if you get stuck here, air can just go around you, but you would have to come all the way around here, or all the way around here. And then, if air goes through there, you've got to chase back up here, or if you've walked here, you've got to go all the way up here. So there's these long paths, basically. There's a lot of backtracking, basically, involved for melee players. Sorry, ground armies. Once you go down a certain path, you kind of, like, committed. Is the pathing resources fair? I'm not a fan of the pathing, personally. Too many cliff tiles and curving paths, separating the flow of travelling. Resources are quite clunky, too. Gold mines off in certain places, and gold mines at top and bottom, just not really worth it. I'm not exactly sure. Oh, I guess that one. Yeah, it's a bit too easy to attack that one. You're on the low ground. They can attack you from up here, here, and here. You could do it, but it's a hell of a risk. Creep camps and item drops. Creep camps are varied, if a little bit too challenging in some places. However, the item drops seem fair for the most part. Some are a bit sporadic. The level 8 Furbolg Elder Shaman with a level 6 drop, for example. Almost every item drop is available, which is nice. So, yeah. I think for the most part, I actually quite liked the overall balance. You don't want to be too generous with the items. In fact, you want to be almost a little stingy, but not too much so. That's a level 5 permanent, but it's a level 7 character, like stuff like that. So level 5 is really good, but you've got to get through the level 7 plus 23 levels as well. So, terrain, the map comes across as way too cluttered and convoluted, especially if you look at the mini-map. The map also hurts my eyes to look at in some places. Not a fan of the bright flashing doodads. It just looks cheap. So, particularly this middle area and all of this. I get it, it's like they're gazers, but or geysers, however you pronounce it, but yeah, I'm not really liking that. Is the map repetitive? With lots to do and many potential item drops, the map provides a bit of spicy gameplay. Each player being able to achieve a gold mine eventually, it means most can afford the most unusual of mercs available. So yeah, I said at the start, didn't I, that you can easily get a gold mine and most players will then be able to afford more interesting things. Thank you, Fitman Jake. Or Fightman Jake. Who knows how you pronounce these things. Creativity and uniqueness. I gave it 7 out of 15. It's half and half. There are many neutral camps that are new and allow creative strategies each time, but I feel the terrain layout with so many cliffs and awkward pathways hampers the gameplay otherwise. So there you go. Next map we're going to take a look at will be Taken City. So if I load up Taken City, come up into my document. Okay, so Taken City was 10th, and that's at the bottom. I gave it 6th, and Sour gave it 13th, so a definite difference in opinions there as well. I think it's because it's got the marketplace vibe that I gave it higher points than I probably maybe should have done, but we'll see. So this is the map. It's a hell of a lot more pleasant to look at. Very simplistic. but it has a reminiscence of Timbermore Hold, with the spawning positions being close to one another. And my thoughts was, is the map balanced for both teams? The ordering of the creep camps looks like it's uneven, but I believe it actually does make sense. It's more of a mirrored style than an ordered style. So I was trying to get over this for the longest time. Did this make sense? You've got these water elementals here, then you've got skeletons and skeletons, and then bandits and bandits. Now, part of me was thinking, why isn't it bandits, skeletons, bandits, skeletons? But it does work, I'm sure. If the creatures at the top left is coming here, on their right hand side is the bandits, on their left hand side is the skeletons. If you're coming from the bottom right, on the right hand side is the skeletons, on the left hand side is the bandits, but they're technically the same distance from, exactly the same distance from the player's spawns. So it does make sense. It just doesn't look like it. It was just weird trying to comprehend it for some reason for me for quite some time there. But anyway, are the positions between points of interest fair? The middle makes sense as something to fight for, but the shops are a little bit out of the way, almost like it's not worth the effort of sometimes going there when there is so much in the middle. So if you go to the middle, you're going to get quite a bit of experience and some nice items, as well as the reward of healing up afterwards. If you want to go to the shops, it looks cool, but it's quite a travel time to get up there. But then again, you might enjoy the opportunity to do some creeping whilst the rest of your team keeps them busy. If your team could keep them busy 3 versus 4, you could have one player creeping this stuff and getting lots of goodies. But it's so it feels like you're almost going a little bit too far out of your way to get to some of these bits. But it's not terrible. I actually still quite like this map. I think it would be quite fun to play. Does the map allow the 4 races to be balanced? It's large, open, and seems fair for all. If anything, Night Elf might have a tough time building outside of their spawning positions. And that's because so much unbuildable terrain. You can only build in the green parts where they're already too close to the gold mine. So Night Elf might struggle. Although this looks like you could build an Ancient of War. So theoretically you could put an Ancient of War here, but that would probably still aggro the gold mine. So Night Elf might struggle on this one for Ancient of War creeping. But otherwise, it's pretty damn nice. It's like I say, if it's so open like this, air isn't going to be able to easily avoid you. It will. Air will always be able to avoid with mostly ease because it's air. It freaking goes past anything. But on a map that is so open, you will have more of a chance of taking air down at least, or chasing it down. QQ Veritas, thank you very much there for the sub. Welcome. It's mirror symmetry rather than rotational symmetry. That's why it feels odd. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it does. It just threw me off for the longest time. I highly rated maps with 4 players very, very close. Could you elaborate? I didn't actually. I think the 4 versus 4 map pool could use 1 or 2 maps where players spawn close together, like Timbermore Hold. But overall, I'd prefer the majority of maps players are spread out. But it's nice to see a map that is, you know, pleasant to look at, looks fun to play, and, you know, embraces a true team close together. Duck Duck. I thought he was saying roast me because his name is Duck. Well, there you go. I'm roasting you now. Explain the white tile. Nick wants explaining. Thanks, nice explanation. Pathing. Is the pathing resources fair for each race? The map is quite rewarding for players seeking expansions. Creeping will keep players busy if they are willing to go out of their way for it. So you have to travel sometimes a little bit to do creeping, but there's a lot of gold mines. And there's a lot of creeps around those gold mines, those areas. So you do the gold mine, then you go creep that, or you do that, then that, then that, then that, then that. And then middle, for example, you can go pretty much anywhere. Creep camps and item drops. Creep camps are a bit sporadic in their theme and their difficulty. This might prove to be a little bit obnoxious in regards to scouting and pathing and aggro, though. So I'm trying to think about why. Oh, is it because of these potential aggro? The item drops are weird as well. Not always worthy. For example, the Drake Wolf Camp in the bottom left. Oh yeah, you got creatures sort of like in the way. I think it's this one I was talking about. Level 3 permanent item for a level 6 Wolf and a level 6 Drake. It's 18 levels. It's not terrible item, level 3 permanent. It's pretty good actually. But it's not really worth it. Unless you've got like proper anti-air and stuff. It's just kind of weird. I don't know. I just didn't gel with that so well. Anyway. Moving on to, is the map visually pleasing? I gave it 9 out of 15. So it got 20 out of 35 points. If you want to see how I scored everything, because I'm not saying how I scored it every time I'm pronouncing things, because I'm just forgetting to. I do have a PDF file, or it's in the video description below in the link. For the melee, you can download it and you can actually read exactly what I'm reading from right now to see how the scores were set. Says the map visually pleasing. It paints a pretty picture on the minimap and is pleasant enough to look at, if a little bare. The aesthetics, the creep camps are a bit obstructive here, but the rest flows smoothly enough. Is the map repetitive? 5 out of 10. I believe the game could be a rush to the middle or an expand frenzy. The additional gold mines offer players a bit more variety and potential gameplay. Other than these two major choices, there is little else. Little else. Creativity. Does the map bring something new to the table? With close base spawns and huge open bases, space beyond, it is unlike many maps, but the offering of neutrals is a bit sparse. I do like the marketplaces though, not so much their position, but for them it is. But the option is always nice. Okay. There we go. So there's the review of that. Now we're going to move on to the next one. Let me see. Okay. So this is going to be quite divisive, this one. This map is called Legion's Demise. I did not rate this map very well. You will see it. It is currently 9th overall. It got 12th from me and 4th for Sour. So quite different indeed. Legion's Demise. I gave it 37 points out of 100 in total. So this is the middle point, which you would fight over. And here are the players. Are the positions and distances between points of interest fair? I gave it 2 out of 10 because of the tavern being up at the top here. Taverns could be utilized as a team to go on the offensive. Oh, you can't see? What did I do? Oh, I see. Sorry. So I'll come back here. Right. So that's the whole map. So I was talking about the taverns. I fixed it now, so you should be able to see. What are you talking about? You should be able to see now. Stop causing issues. Are positions and distances between points of interest fair? Taverns could be utilized as a team to go on the offensive, as the bases are so close, but so are the allies, so this can be dealt with somewhat. Biggest issue here are the neutral camps for players being almost completely inaccessible. So I had an issue with the taverns being nearby, because the enemy team, if they want, can get 4 pandas and go to the base within like 15 seconds, maybe less than that. Hello there, Sour. And whilst that does add a bit of fun, it's also incredibly obnoxious to deal with if that happens to you, and pretty much will put you out of the game. It's pretty much the equivalent of being like Surgling Rushed in StarCraft or something. Yes, this is a 4v4 contest though, Sour. But yeah, Legion reminds me, I think I might mention it in my comments, but it reminds me of, there's that Icy map that is a 3v3 map, but it's also used as a 2v2 map. It's got fountains at the top left and the bottom right, and it's got 2 shops in the middle that have scorpions on either side guarding it. It reminds me of that map, and it works in that aspect, but it wouldn't work, in my opinion, as 4v4. So let's have a look. What else did I say? The biggest issue here are the neutral camps for players being almost completely inaccessible. The gold mines are pretty tough, especially the Infernal Machine one. So you got the... this guy spawns and Infernal. So this is already level 28, and then it will be more like level 35 to 36. So you would have to do this as pretty much a whole team, which I get you can have, and that way you get access to the gold mine. I'm not knocking it completely in that aspect. But realistically, in 4 versus 4 RT, there isn't always that much communication, and players don't always play that well, so they're going to get pretty slaughtered by something like this. If you're doing this arranged team, you could probably make this work. And here's another gold mine. How the fuck does human do that? 2 Fellhounds with mana burn. And then you've got this neutral camp here, which has a level 6 Diabolist with level 2 permanent. He's not too bad, to be fair. That one's quite realistic, I guess. So you could actually access the mercenaries. But the shops, the gold mines are just pretty damn tough for the most part. And we've got a marketplace here, which isn't too bad. Although she is a level 8 Maiden of Pain. And then you've got these way gates, which goes to the other side. But I wouldn't want to fight versus that. But it is an interesting way to navigate the map. But it could also be quite horrible. Like, you go here, you harass this base over here, sorry. Then you run back, come up here, and then come and harass this base. There's a lot of sort of exploits to be done on this map, which I think is actually going to be more uncomfortable to deal with than it is going to be. You know, it's fun for the people doing it, but not fun for the people having to deal with it. The whole map just kind of reeks of that. The team that does well is going to have a fantastic time. The other team is just going to struggle. Anyway, does the map allow the 4 races to be balanced? I put 8 out of 10. A massive open battlefield should be fair for the most part. Long-range units might have the best bet of manipulating the very powerful creeps. Is the pathing resources fair for each race? 3 out of 10. Pathing is about as open as it gets, and resources are very hard for human, with the expansions being damn tough to conquer. And then I gave the creep camps 1 out of 10. Creep camps are insane. Also item drops. Level 8 Doomguard drops a level 3 charged item, and a level 8 dropping a level 2 permanent. I could go on. So I'm not sure exactly where all the creatures were for that, but that was one of my remarks in regards to it. Let's have a look at the terrain. Is the map visually pleasing? I said far too little, but the Legion theme is pretty spot on. Aesthetics, it has a very cool simplistic look. It looks good for so little, however there might not be enough. Big open spaces allow players a lot of freedom though, which is a plus. Is the map repetitive? I don't think there are many ways to play this other than just surge your opponent, so I gave it 1 out of 10 on the repetitiveness. Creativity, it looks more like a Reign of Chaos map in terms of design layout that better suits 2v2 or 3v3. So the biggest thing I like about this map is actually just how gorgeous this is. It really just looks like you're almost in World of Warcraft, but higher up, a higher camera angle. This has been done exceptionally well. There's like a real beauty to the simplisticness of it. It's not over cluttered, and the way the sort of hills sink into the fell really does look gorgeous. Yeah, the height variation of the tiles and stuff like that, just beautiful. And like the cracks, the fissures, it looks lovely. It looks really bloody good. It's just a shame the rest of it's bad in my opinion. Right, let's look on to the next map. So the next map is Arctic Dream, which we did, so you remember that one. You can tell it's the one at the top left. We went over that, so we don't need to do that. That's the one with the clunky doodads and everything. The next one after that is Cold Butterfly. That got 7th position, so that's 10th from me, 9th from Sour. So I'm going to come up to the top. I'm going to go click on Cold Butterfly, and I'm going to load the map, and then I'm going to show you it. Cold Butterfly is a bit like a simplistic version of Full Scale Assault. and you're going to see exactly what I mean when I click this button. Okay. So, let's go over this. Are the positions and distances between points of interest fair? They are certainly fair, just very basic. So by that, I mean there is very little going on. It is very bare. You pretty much have your spawn, you have 1 or 2 creeps, and then maybe a gold mine, a gold mine, a gold mine, and a shop, and a gold mine, 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 and a gold mine. There's not really much going on there. Does the map allow the 4 races to be balanced? I said 7 out of 10, but perhaps Chimeras and Frosts, Pokken expansions could be exploited, but really it's pretty fair. So by that I mean Chimeras and Frostworms being in this area and attacking you, and they're protected by the cliff and the trees, and if the enemy have ground units here, they can't reach them if they're hiding in between the trees. But proper anti-air like Hippogriffs should hopefully deal with that. The path and resources, is it good for each race? Night Elf could definitely expand abuse versus the red spots at the top to nab some nice items. So you put your Ancient of War here, here, and you come over. It takes a while to get over though. It's not, you could probably put it closer actually, you put it like here. And then you come over here, pull this creep camp back. It's not as easy as I'm making it out to be though, because these creeps are ranged. And they will attack the Ancient of War from this distance. But it can still be done quite easily with an Ancient of War, I think. It just requires a lot of healing and maybe 1 or 2 players. But if you get these gold mines, they are quite far out of the way. And if you put towers here, you can basically protect 2 gold mines. Scouting counters it. So like I say, if you scout and you see someone's put an Ancient of War here, you'll easily crush them if they try to do this creep camp. But if they get to do it and it hasn't been scouted, yeah, you know, there you go. It is a long way to go to punish, so it's worth the risk. Because most people don't scout. At least not scout properly. A poor man's full-scale assault. Not all players get a gold mine, necessarily, but it adds some uniqueness. So by that, red would get this gold mine. Blue would not get a gold mine. Teal and purple would share these gold mines. So that would mean that blue would have to come over here to get a gold mine, or come up to the top. So, you know, you might have a bit of a... There's 3 gold mines, basically, that are more or less guaranteed for the team. So it looks good otherwise. Not all players get a gold mine necessarily, but it adds some uniqueness. And team play, particularly since 2 gold mines require teamwork. So that's more realistic, instead of the infernal spawning machine. 2 players could handle that. It wouldn't be easy, but they could handle it. Creep camps and item drops. 2 out of 10. The null green camp item drop is disappointing. So what happened here? Level 5 drops a level 2 book, which is either just +2 strength or knowledge. Level 1 permanent item. So a little lackluster. Particularly the null camp. You may as well do this camp. I don't know why you would do this unless you can kill it easily with range units, which you could probably. Most creep camps seem fair item-wise, otherwise, but there are not many creep camps, and they are very repetitive. So it's basically just ogres everywhere. You got ogres here, you got ogres here, ogres here. They're very repetitive. A lack of neutral camps is also disappointing. So there's pretty much only the shop and the gold mines. There is a lot of space here to be utilized. You could have a neutral camp right here. That could be a mercenary camp there. Or you could have a mercenary camp here. And you could have the trees just fill out a little bit more here and here. You know, there's opportunities for this, but it wasn't really utilized. It's just bare. Is the map visually pleasing? I said, it's a butterfly, alright. No obnoxious doodad blocking, but very open and bare. It reminds me of a poor man's full-scale assault. Yeah, I did say that. There is a nice twitch in turn entering into each team's main base at the northern sections, which helps. Otherwise, it would be quite linear. So that's what I was referring to. There's like this alternate smaller ramp, so it's more punishing for aggressors if they get stuck here. But it's quicker to get up to here and maybe harass or access Teal, who would be one of the more secure bases. So probably one of the bases that has the least amount of defenses in it, as opposed to these. Is the aesthetic good? Generally, I quite like the layout. Big and open with multiple paths to take, despite its somewhat linear appearance. So you got somewhat like pathways going around here, but it's very basic. Is the map repetitive? Definitely there are less creeping exploits than a map like Full Scale Assault, and often I find myself quite bored with that map because of its repetitive, predictable linear gameplay. And Full Scale Assault has a lot more going for it than this does. There's the cliffs at the top that you can expand onto. There's the Goblin Lab for the Shredder, for the Zeppelin abuse. It's got a lot more going for it, but even then I've got bored of Full Scale Assault. Creativity and uniqueness. I actually feel like the map is a pleasantly created piece of work, but it's way too simple and has absolutely next to nothing new to offer in comparison to other maps. So it does the job of a 4v4 map, just not well at all. Sorry, but there you go. Okay, I'll be back in a quick second. I'll leave you with that image, and the next one that we're going to take a look at will be Frostflow Deep. So I'll just load that up, and then when I come back, we'll start talking about that. So we're up to basically number 6 and onwards, heading up to the top 6. Regardless, this will be a long video no matter what I do, but I'll try. So we're on 6th now, Frostflow Deep. So let's pull that over. Let's come over to the top here. Frostflow Deep, click on this, and away we go. Oh, I see. Alright, I just wanted to go over the thing here. Frostflow Deep. It got 8th from me and 10th from Sour. So I think part of the only reason why this map got a higher score from me was because it reminded me a bit of Feralus. And it actually has a little bit more in it than Feralus does. Almost as much. And I quite actually like Feralus. But there's a lot of problems with this map. So really it shouldn't quite get so many points from me. There's some big issues I have with this map. But it got 51 out of 100 in total for me. Which is fairly good. I was told to be quite stringent on my scoring. So unless the map was absolutely stellar, it wasn't going to get very good points. Will I be doing more of these in the future? Or is this a one-off thing? For the time being, it's just a one-off thing. Like I used to do some more map reviews. Maybe it makes more sense to do map reviews of the actual ladder maps. But I don't know. It takes a lot of time to study all of this. Like, this was one of the most stressful things I had to do, was judging this contest. I don't know if I'd ever do it again. It was fun to do. But it was also like, I could only do like 2 or 3 maps at a time. And it was exhausting. And I would have to do like 2 or 3 maps a day, and there's 15 of them. Yeah, it was stressful for Sour as well, he says. It was. There was something about it, because you look at a map, and not only, like, I could give you my first impressions, but I was expected to judge it. So then I started to have to look at everything. I'd have to look at all the creeps, what they would drop in, what type of things they do. The way gates, whether the map actually works, like do the players spawn next to each other, how the whole flow of it is, like having to give scores and then write it down as well. I can talk fairly well, but I can't write stuff very well. It takes me a while to coherently collect my thoughts and place them down on a Word document. Alright, so Frostflow Deep. Are positions and distances interesting or fair? There are a multitude of neutral camps which are placed in such a fashion that I feel any player, regardless of position, has decent access to them. So those were good points. So for example, you all spawn at the top, or you all spawn at the bottom, assumably. You got way gates. Not a fan of the way gates, but they're there. And they could totally be exploited. Like, look how close that way gate is to that. Anyway, you got the shop. That's easy to get to. Not too bad. And if you're green, you ain't gonna go too far out of your way to get to that shop. And then on this side, you got a shop over there as well. So each team kind of gets their own thing on their side, which I liked. The tavern's in the middle, but it's not too close to the enemy bases, but it's not too far away either. It's pretty much in a perfect position, that tavern. And there's one on the other side, so it's basically all symmetrical. And then you got the neutral camp here, which could be done between both the two players, and then they've got fun with that. And the Goblin Lab in between the two players, so easy access to Shredder, and it's far away. Goblin Sappers would have to travel quite far. Does the map allow the 4 races to be balanced? The doodads denying easy access to mobs would be a bigger problem because of chimeras and frostworms. However, the map creator thought of this, and perhaps put rock golems behind many of the blockades. So what I'm talking about in this case is no one likes these rock chunks, but for some reason they tend to appear in maps. But frostworms and chimeras can't creep something like this easily. It's not a particularly difficult creep camp, but it's something to take into account is that it actually has spell immunity, which means it's got magic immunity. So you couldn't truly creep this camp with frostworms and all of that if you just skip straight to that, but you wouldn't really skip that far to it. It's not too hard to kill the rocks at the end of the day and clear the camp. So it's they're annoying, those doodads, but they're not the worst. You do have these ones over here. They're very easy to break down, and then that would allow teams to move sideways. So that would be worth doing. Otherwise, you can only move sideways there or down at the very bottom, or using the way gates. And you've got trees here, so you could only access this if you had Flame Strike, or again, it's not that hard to access because what he's done is he's only put like 1 tree. So if you wanted to, you could just send a peasant, and after it's chopped 50 times, it will destroy that tree, or a ghoul 25 times. So there's that to take into account. It's not there are obstructions, but they're not the worst. It sometimes looks a bit worse than it is. Wyverns in mass could still tear apart these golems. Yeah, they could, but it's not too much of an important creep camp. The gold mine's nice, but it's not like they're going to get a huge amount of experience for skipping to air. It's not a huge reward. My greatest concern is the way gates at the top and the bottom. I feel this could be massively abused by mass chimeras or mobile forces. Could you imagine someone teleporting in mass chimeras over the trees, destroy the base, back through the way gate? Maneuvering back and forth over the trees too to take shots at vital targets. The pathing will be linear and annoying because of the doodads, and I believe human will suffer for gaining a gold mine here. Yeah, it's pretty horrible to get a gold mine as a human. Creep camps and item drops. Creep camps can be a little bit too strong in some areas, but this can be overcome. At least there are a decent number of creep camps for players to do. Item drops are designed in such a way that there is more specific diversity for players to try and pick out the items that they are after, if they know the map. However, the Overlord guarding the top and the bottom labs can drop a Diamond of Summoning, which is an item that is currently not in the ladder map available. Personally, I feel this is because it is too strong, and this item should be removed, even though it is cool strategy-wise. So, if you're not familiar with what Diamond of Summoning is, it basically transports 12 units in the targeted area towards where your hero is. So you can essentially teleport 12 mountain giants or something like that on top of your hero. And you can imagine that could be quite strong if you're in someone's base. Terrain, sorry. Map visually pleasing in terms of terrain, doodad placement, and overall theme. I dislike doodads in general, and I find the barricades along the middle of the map unnecessary and tedious. In which way to create blockades that serve no worthy purpose. The theme reminds me of a frozen Feralas, with more attention to detail and effort, with shops, creeps, and it's an improvement in that respect. I feel that there has been care to make that the map look real, with a plenty of prop design to give it some life. Aesthetically, I gave it 1 out of 10 though. Doodads forced me to mark this down heavily, unfortunately. Just don't like the doodads. Just don't like the doodad spam. Is this map repetitive? 3 out of 10. I feel the map is good enough to stand up for most 4v4 ladder maps currently, but you would find it a little repetitive. But not enough to hate playing the map. Creativity, I gave it 4 out of 15. The waygates in the middle are a good way to allow players to traverse. So you've got a waygate there and a waygate there, so you can move over to the other side. The map as a team, but the top and the bottom waygates should be removed. Blocking doodads do not bring anything good to the map. So yeah, stop blocking stuff with doodads, basically, is the lesson to be learned here. Let's take a look at the next one then. Next one will be... Alright, top 5 now. This is when it gets... These top 5 maps are really good. But I have issues with the next 2, which would make them great 4v4 maps. They could be some of the best, but they have some glaring issues, and I remember them, and I'll show you. So Desert Mirage, let's have a look at that one. That's 5th. I gave that 4th. Sour gave that 8th. Let's have a look at Desert Mirage. Loading that map up right now. Hey presto. So this, what you're looking at, basically is the biggest issue with this map, is the middle. The middle spoils this map. Otherwise, it has a lot of nostalgia for Gold Rush and just fun potential with exploring and pathing. So it could be better if that middle was dealt with, basically. Desert Mirage, let's have a look. Are the positions and distances between points of interest fair? Player positions are well placed and decent distance from gold mines, etc., and other players. So you got red positioned here. You got the next player here. You got the next player here. So it's like they are close, and you could kind of rush them, but at the same time, there's a decent enough distance, I feel, in between these spawns. Like that is enough of a pathway to take before you get to the next player. At least, yeah. Oh, this song just keeps on popping up, doesn't it? So, Night Elf, I said, does the map allow the players, the races to be balanced? Night Elf may have a distinct advantage with Ancient of War creeping and expand setups, but the water pathing helps to control this mostly. So that blue that you're seeing, or that orange, that's the pathing. You can't build there in that pathing. And the blue bit. The map gets a little bit too clustered towards the middle, which will cause clunky ground movement, allowing air to be more dominating, so Orc and Undead will enjoy this. So the outside of the map is great. You got lots of sort of like interesting flowing water pathways here. Enough space for ground armies to navigate. And I feel even in here it's a little bit clustered, but it's kind of okay to be clustered. But it really is from this point onwards, that's when it gets troublesome. Like, this is just ridiculous. Like, that tiny pathing. Like, a huge army comes from this weight gate. They've got to try to move through that and that. That's going to be so much blocking. And then you've got this long path into the middle. And everything is so grouped. And, oh, that would just be what is going on there? It just ruins. I feel like the map maker started on the outside and then realized they didn't have enough space on the inside. So if there was some way, and it's honestly sometimes easier just to make a new map than it is to sort of re-flesh out an old map. But you could do it with this one, honestly. This is taking up a lot of space. So you just remove that, push this back slightly here, and then you can open up these trees a bit more, and hey presto. So this isn't even too hard a problem to fix. and then this map could be very, very good. But you can clearly see, as soon as it gets to this middle point, these pathways are just ridiculously small. Whereas you've got all of this lovely open pathways in the back here. So it just somehow needs to, like the universe, just spread out just a little bit longer. So I gotta remember where the hell I am now. The pathing and resources, are they fair for each race? I said it's safer but harder to creep gold mines at the back. So that's these ones, I think, which is a tough one, but it's more secure as opposed to these ones that are near the front. I'm not even sure if you could put a town hall there in between the gold mine. I'm even wondering now. You might be able to just about squeeze it in. It would be like there. Yeah, you could probably just about do it. Just about. So the gold mines at the back, let's see, that's 10,000 gold. And that's 15,000 gold. So whilst the gold mines at the back are sort of more difficult to do, they give you a lot more gold. The easier gold mines in the middle give less gold. This works to encourage in different styles of play, fast-paced or slow. The pathing becomes a massive problem from the middle circle inwards. Larger ground armies will definitely suffer. Orc in particular. This will be irritating in general to move through the sections of the map only to watch your units constantly blocking each other. I think this map design has massive potential to be one of the best. I really see myself thoroughly enjoying this on the ladder. However, it seems clear that the map maker ran out of space after designing the outer sections almost flawlessly and was forced to clump up the pathing to finish creating the rest of the middle. If the creator was able to stretch out the middle section for more realistic wide pathing, direct middle taverns, middle gold mines, this would be really good. The creep camps and item drops. Hello there, Kakpa. Creep camps are diverse and plentiful. Yeah, they really are. There's a lot of different creeps to be done on this. Like you got that, got those over there. Then you got little centaurs here, and then more Wild King, but a flying unit there. Then this solo Wild King, which was quite interesting, but it only drops the level 1 power up, so that's a slight error. The green centaur drudge camps on the outside reward too heavily with a level 2 permanent item. It should be a level 1 for picking off a very easy centaur. But then the other green centaur camp drops nothing. So I've got to find that. It's Diablo 2 now. I'll just go back. Hold up. So you got this centaur. Drops a level 2 permanent. And he could be killed with no effort at all. And then I've got to find the other centaur camp. Oh, it's this one. And then that just drops nothing. You just get the experience. Maybe like at least a level 1 power-up tome or level 2 power-up tome or something. So, should at least be a level 1 power-up. There is an orange camp with 15 levels of power and an air unit that drops a level 2 permanent item as well. Then there's the interesting loner enraged Wild King that drops a level 1 power-up item. Very unrewarding, despite a nearby level 5 creep, almost the same level of power, dropping the same, but much easier and less punishing. I do like how the majority of the neutral camps are used and placed in this map though, allowing players a diverse range of tactics. So this was the other camp. This is easier to do, but at least you get something for it. It's the same power level. Yes. Yeah, the shop is quite easy to access for the players. There's one sort of like on each side. And you got the way gates. I don't know, there's marketplace on the corners, which is fine. There's 4 of them. The map does actually have a goblin lab. It's a little bit clustered, but maybe that's for aggro reasons as well. You got to remember when players' units are moving, they don't want to aggro the nearby units. Okay, so you got a lot of stuff to do. The terrain, is it visually pleasing? The map has massive potential to be legitimately enjoyable for 4 versus 4. However, the doodad placement from the larger middle circle are far too clumped and clunky. So yeah, it gets really messy in there. I feel the flowing shallow water sections in the outer layer allow for multiple pathways, encouraging players to explore the map and battle one another tactically and intelligently. This map reminds me of Gold Rush, which has been one of my favourite maps for a long time. There are many ways to play it, thanks to the diverse plethora of gold mine opportunities and camps that allow multiple creeping routes. For creativity, whilst the map is not anything new per se, it does look a lot better than the majority of boring 4 versus 4 maps that are currently on the ladder, and would be a much welcome addition to the ladder pool, with changes correcting item drops and pathing towards the middle to allow better maneuverability. So there's my overall aspects on that. I was a big fan of that map, but there's very, very glaring issues. So we're moving on to number 4 now, which got 3rd from me and 7th from Sal. Thank you there, Kola Shokolowski. So Golden Oasis is our next map. Let's put that on. Come up to the top here. Golden Oasis. We're almost there. This map got 68 points out of 100 for me. So that's one of the more generous scorings that I did. At this point, it's pretty much... This is like really, really good now. So, are the positions and distances between the points of interest fair? I said I like the multiple tavern placements, offering different options for both defensive or coordinated aggressive play. It could be a little too strong if 4 players go pandas, so a bit like the Legion Demise issue. Tinker and Dark Ranger, for example. Also that as well. And Tunnel Fission, 1 nearby base, but perhaps players could scout for that. It's certainly quite tough to access most neutral camps without punishment. One slight bit of aggro and it could be brutal. So let's take a look at what I was talking about there. So you've got the player spawn here. I don't think I like the bases. That was one of my issues with this. I will almost definitely point that out. So the tavern looks cool. It's got like surrounded by this. You can imagine people sort of spawning there and then going to the nearest base and harassing. That could definitely be strong. But you could look out for that. However, I feel like there should be, in hindsight, more trees. There's only 1 tree. There could be like at least a few trees dotted around. So multiple wisps could be there. Otherwise, only 1 player can have a wisp there. Then again, if 1 player's got a wisp there, it's not too bad. Yes. Oh, this was the aggro issues. If you're moving through the middle of the map, you could actually just accidentally walk through creep camps. So they are quite beautiful, but they are also going to be... The creeps are situated in the middle of the pathing, which can also cause issues here and here as well. Does the map allow the 4 races to be balanced? Will the stream be archived so I can watch all the previous reviews? Yes, this is all going to be one video on YouTube. Does the map allow the 4 races to be balanced? Air will be strong versus main bases and many creep camps. Night Elf will now gain favour with this one due to the ease of producing hippos. Gargs are great as well. And the biggest issue is the tree wall block by the dragon camp. So that was at the top. Yeah, so hippos could just go straight there, have a good time. And then go into hippo archers. So you could build archers, then move into hippos. Because you can also creep this camp as well with hippos very easily. I don't like that camp. I like the look of it because of the destroyed trees around the lumber. Sorry, the lab with the shredder. But, you know, issues for gameplay. Night Elf can do that very easily with good micro. And a bunch of archers would make short work of many creeps here. Too many air creeps. Yeah, too many air creeps. Like, again, in the gold mine here. So this map has a better layout, I think. And the pathing and the design is really good. Apart from, obviously, aggro potential. You would just have to be very aware of where you're moving on the minimap. And how your units are rallying. Because you could have issues. But otherwise, it's pretty neat. Just a bit too heavy on the air because not everyone can do that. Pathing resources fair for each race. Expansions might be a bit hard to attain. So you got expansion here and here for purple, for example, on either side. So they're quite far away and hard to get to. Or you can move further into the middle, which is a bit easier to do. But it's still a bit of a travel for some players. Even Teal would have to come all the way around here. And then here. Militia would almost run out by that point. They'll be down to like 40% duration, I think. Pathing could be an issue with the open plan style of neutral creek camps. Normally I don't favour that. But how the map is laid out, it actually looks like it suits it. Players will just have to be extra vigilant with this map. My main dislike with this map is pretty much all the main bases. So this is actually one of the more open bases. But it's just weird. Like, you got entrance at the back here and here. It's just weird. They are ramps, so you couldn't destroy the trees and come through that way. And then it's like, it's kind of so sporadic and odd. While some are unique, they look horrible to traverse, and many could be opened up more. Less trees as choke points. I also don't like that the bases that are up one cliff tile. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of cliff tiles for bases, because this has been issues in other 4v4 maps. The Blasted Land one has that issue, where it's very easy to whack down a bunch of towers and just defend from there, and it's very hard to be aggressive and punish it, unless you've got mass air. I also don't like the bases that have up one cliff tile. Also, the map, the middle looks nice, but it is a little too short on the pathing, so they run out of space here again. But that could be opened up a little bit here. You could open up the trees a little bit on the side here and just remove those trees. They don't even just have 1, 2, 3, 4 trees in total. So it looks nice, but it's just too cluttered at that point. And movement through there would be horrible. You imagine if one team moved from here and the other team moved from here and they both moved towards the middle. Like, how much crap is going to get stuck and blocking each other? Anyway, I said that you could open up the trees a little bit. A simple fix to this would be to cut the trees back at both the gold mine expansions to open up flank potentials. So if you open this up, and you can maybe pull the gold mines just back a little bit, you could have more opportunity for pathing, wider pathing. You could have the thinner pathing here, but have the wider pathing here. Creep camps and item drops. Creep camps are fun, varied, but too much air. Where are the level 2 permanent items, as well as the variety of charged items? So this map doesn't have any of those, basically. Or there's very few charged items. It's interesting to feature potion drops, but more variety. There are 20 level 3 permanent items, and the next is 8 for level 1. So you've got 20 level 3 items, and then 8 level 1 items. So it's a little bit overkill. The balance is not quite there with the item drops. For the terrain, the map is visually pleasing. It does look like fun. It's a vibrant map that I would like to play on ladder. The pockets of Oasis, so here, like over here, that kind of stuff, gives a sense of hope to an otherwise barren theme. I particularly like the Goblin Lab at the top, thematically at least, being filled with dead tree stumps. Aesthetically, aside from the potential mistakes of aggravating open neutral creek camps, the map is very open, and a flow just goes through it that I welcome. You can see there's lots of potential pathing that you can maneuver around the map, and that's what I'm always looking for. Is the map repetitive? Ally priorities make it so that each match could spawn players in different locations, but always next to each other. So that adds a lot of potential to try out different strats on repeat gameplay of this map. So what that means is you will always spawn next to one another, but you will spawn in like different spots. So it won't all be like 4 at the bottom versus 4 at the top. It could be like 4 on the side, 4 at the top, or 3 at the top and 1 down here kind of thing. But you'd always be one team versus the other. There's a lot of potential. Random units in the middle are also quite interesting. So there is a random creek camp in the middle. It's just a little bit of flair. You might get something different each time, and I quite like that aspect for repetitive gameplay. which is important for 4 versus 4 because a lot of us 4 versus 4 players, I mean even 1 versus 1, you do the same thing over and over. Creativity. Nothing majorly new, but the layout design is more openly encouraging for solo or team gameplay than most 4v4 maps out there, which I think will bring out more strategic gameplay. Yeah, so this is definitely good. This is you're on the right track at this point. So we're going to move on to third position, which is Northern Felwood. Northern Felwood. Let's pull that one over. So Northern Felwood, that got 63 points out of 100 from me, and that is third. So 5th from me, but it was first for Sour. So this is his favourite map, this one, with a 93 point, and I gave it 63 points. So let's take a look and see why. Image, take this down, go here, scroll out. So our positions and distance points of interest fair. The Goblin Lab in the middle seems out of place and hard to attain if you want a Zeppelin or a Shredder, which most players do, because you've got very, very strong creep camp here. You imagine trying to build a Shredder from that. That is going to get slaughtered by those. They are not going to let that Shredder get away. Replace this one with a fountain or a marketplace. I'd prefer 4 labs in total, 2 for each team, both near the back. Gold mines are also very far away. So I prefer my Goblin labs to be like further back behind the players almost, but at least 1 or 2 for each team. You got the players spawn here, 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 and here. So that's basically top and then versus bottom. So it's going to be symmetrical. You got this gold mine that's very far out of the way. Pretty much a guaranteed gold mine. The enemy team would have to travel very far to punish that. Otherwise, you've got to basically move closer towards your opponents and take a gold mine here that is pretty exposed and looks like it's quite easy to be punished. The gold mine on the side here isn't so bad though. So the players on the side get a nicer gold mine, but the ones in the middle are definitely quite exposed, and the ones at the back are just too far away and too easy to protect. So there is variety there, which is good, but it depends on where you're spawning, because if each player wants an expansion, some of those players are going to be happier than others. Does the map allow 4 races to be balanced? I think the map looks well balanced. Only the ramps leading to the gold mines could be abused for easy Ancient of War creeping to favour Night Elf. So I think what I was referring to is this one over here. You put like an Ancient of War here, and then it only has to travel a little bit, and then you aggro them, and boom, you've got a gold mine like with no effort as Night Elf. Night Elf could do that. So easy. So easy. Not so easy on this one. Bit difficult there. Still got to travel over, but it's still easy on that side. They've got pretty easy here. Pathing and resources fair for each race. Resources are scarce. Would be hard to hold for sure. So that's really the ones in the middle. Pathing is nice and open, allowing flexibility for players to solo or group. So you've got large enough territories for 1 player, or 2 or 3 to maneuver, and you got potential for flanks as well, which I really like. It flows, and the middle is also good. It's just this creek camp. I don't know whether this should almost just be removed. I feel like it just gets in the way. Or you have a fountain here that the players fight over. I think it's better to have a fountain or something, and then players know not to go into that direct middle. I just don't think a Goblin Lab needs to be there. The shop is fine. That's like close enough to the middle, but accessible for both teams for the most part. And if you're on the outside, you've also got a shop over here, which I like. Is the path and resources fair? Resources are scarce. Oh, I did that one, yeah. Creek camps and item drops. A good variety. I gave this 8 out of 10 on that. A good variety of creek camps with solid item drops. Only the level 7 Furbolg Elder Shaman is a little short with a level 3 charged item. So I said perhaps give it a level 4. But otherwise, I thought, you know, the item drops were actually very accurate on this map for what you should be basically rewarded with. Like, are you getting a gold mine out of it? Okay, don't give so much. This guy felt a little bit shortchanged. That's what it was. Level 3 charged item. Could be a level 4. Could be a little bit more special. But there's a decent variety of creeps in different fashions, in different positions, in different terrain areas that offer basically good rewards for what you are doing to kill them. Terrain. Is the map visually pleasing in mediums of terrain? It is a smooth flowing nature that will encourage fun fights and combat, which is inevitable since the map is very top versus bottom. Designs of doodad placement around the map and creep location seems a little flat and bare, but I appreciate that there is at least some effort put into parts like the trolls on the left. Where's these trolls? Oh, I see. Yeah. Like that little... and the bridge going out. That looks cool. But then there's other bits that, like this, just looks a little flat to me. But it's not terrible by any means. It's fine. There's just almost... I don't know if you can see it, but you can almost feel like some bits... This feels a little bit more bare and basic, like didn't quite know what to put there. But otherwise, most are just lacking. The infected feel of the Legion throughout the Felwood, with a small ray of hope left still, reminds me of Felwood from WoW. So I like the theme in that regard. So yeah, you got these kind of like nicer looking territories, and then you get really dark and fellish over here, and back in the back, and then in the middle it's like almost this natural looking Felwood area that hasn't been like touched or tainted yet. So the theme was pretty good on this, really pretty good. It's more subtle than others. It's not quite so in your face, but once you start to look at it more, you sort of realize how it, like, look at the terrain from how that changes color to that changes color to then that changes color. What's tainted? Yeah, you never heard the word tainted before. Or are you just scared of tainted because he's going to pick a ranger and start auto-attacking you with it? With his true shot aura. Tainted. Tainted. Aesthetic. Is it well designed? It's open smooth, but sometimes a bit bare. Not much to complain about here, but it feels like paths might be a bit obvious for most players. At least there is an option at the back of the base to creep something. So what I'm referring to here is you pretty much have a top versus bottom mentality. There's no sort of like go round the side or anything. Someone might like have some fun creeping this at the back. Otherwise you're going to be working as a team fighting against each other for this spot or for this spot. Otherwise you're just moving freely through the middle. So there's not always that much variety going on there. At least there is the option at the back of the base to creep something tougher, if not traversing through the middle. Is the map repetitive? I don't think you'll get many different situations occur whilst playing this. It does seem quite cut and dry, but it can be well enough. It can still well enough as a ladder map. I don't know what I was talking about there, but basically it holds up very well as a ladder map. Creativity. Looks too simplistic to bring anything new. A marketplace in the corner for each team and a fountain in the middle might do wonders to give players a bit more spice. So I'm always a big fan of trying to chuck a marketplace in, because that gives you the opportunity, particularly if there's creep camps that will drop like a level 5 or a level 6 item, for players to pick up something really awesome if they haven't got a chance to do so and they've got gold. Undid imbalances. How was this fifth? You seem like you don't have much complaints about this at all. Well, I've gone over everything. Where was this? So we've done that. If we come back to that, it is very good. Fifth for me. So I put Desert Mirage higher because I saw the potential in that map. If you just fix the middle, that's more like Gold Rush. But I do see that this map is very worthy of where it is positioned as a third place map. Fourth, again, was a very similar deal with Golden Oasis. I really liked the flow of that. I just didn't like the bases. They're all really good. It's just, I guess, a little bit of personal bias here and there to maps that I appreciate and enjoy and the potential that is there. This is more sort of repetitive and linear in terms of the top versus bottom aspect, but it is really well made, this map. There's no doubt about it. It is really well made. It's just maybe a bit of personal bias coming in there and giving it a little bit more negative points. But it holds up, in my opinion, as the top third or fifth, fourth map, you know, in that section. But the next two maps for me are really the winners. But you get to choose yourself which you think, personally, for you is the winner. Obviously, you might think one of the previous maps might be the winner. Perhaps you really enjoyed the underground one. I doubt it, but perhaps you did. So let's go and load up the next map. Next map is North Marsh Ruin. This is going to be like a 2-hour video. There's no way I could do this quick. So you can imagine how long it takes to judge this. This is when it's all written and done. If you're still watching this on YouTube, type hashtag squiggly-doo and I'll let you try to work out how to spell that. And that's all one word. Don't forget to thumbs up the video and subscribe. And share with your friends. No, I wouldn't share this one. This is more specific for people that actually want to see this stuff. Very niche indeed. North Marsh Ruin is actually second place. Spoiler, that was my first choice. North Marsh Ruin. So we're going to load that up. We're going to come up here. We're going to click on this. Okay. So this map, it placed second. First for me, third for Sour. I gave it 90. He gave it 77. So let's take a look, shall we? We're trying to work out how to type squiggly-doo in the chat right now. So this, for me, was the #1 map. It is, again, a bit of a love story to Timbermore Hold, except it's infinitely better than Timbermore Hold in every single aspect. It shits on Timbermore Hold, and it holds nothing back. Strange to use that as a compliment. Right. North Marsh Ruin. Are the positions and distances between points of interest fair? I gave it 9 out of 10. Well, basically the total score was 90 out of 100. I said it was stunning. All the neutral creek camps are in the correct place, at least where I would place them. So let's take a look. First of all, you've got the player positions here. All close together. Then, if you remember in Timbermore, you've got this kind of like choke here, except normally there's trees here for Timbermore, but you can like open out. So if you're moving units, they don't all have to go through here or here. They can come through the middle. They can get some healing on the way out. There's gold mine here. So you got this middle part here with the shop that's at this place's this team, or you've got the shop for that team. You know, there's this waygate here where you're like, oh no, not a waygate, but it actually works because it comes over to here, and it's like a one-off kind of deal. There's not a waygate that goes here. It's just a unique waygate. It's not a fundamental, this is going to really help the team. This is just a, it's there for flair. It's there for flair. So you go to the middle, you come over here, you can access the Goblin Lab on this side, and that's sort of like in between the two teams. I think I would have liked more Goblin Labs, but I might mention that in a moment, but I'm just going to talk about what I'm seeing right now. Then you've got like this neutral camp, which is just a little bit off the waygate, so it's not too hard to get to if both players go to the middle. And it's not, look, it's just like this kind of unique angles that you can take to get through the path in here. It's fucking gorgeous. And then you got this marketplace, which is harder to get to, absolutely. But then again, marketplaces kind of should be. They're more of a reward. And the Fountain of Mana is all the way out of the way, so if you want to come all the way here to get mana, knock yourself out. I feel like it's a little bit redundant. But then again, you got to put something there, I suppose. It's just something for players to creep if they want something powerful and to get experience items. And then there's a gold mine on this side. So it's not, it's asymmetrical. Watch the language. Alright, easy. Yeah, PG stream. You got the neutral camp here. So you got neutral camp up there. And neutral camp here. I actually think they might even be different. That's North End. And that's Lordaeron Fall, which means that you would actually get different mercs, which is something I would love to see. It's pretty boring when you go to most mercenary camps and they only give you 4 choices. And they're always pretty much the same thing. So I always think you should have way more neutral merc choices. You've seen how fun the Nyx map has been. Nick, good thing I'm not front page today. I wouldn't be doing this if I was front page, High Rise, would I? This is for the harder core audience, hence why we don't have so many viewers. Asymmetrical diagonal symmetry. Why not? It's fantastic. Yeah, but this is more niche. People want to see gameplay. They want to see people playing the games. So anyway, before I get too distracted by High Rise being annoying, I'm going to go back to talking about whatever the hell I was supposed to be talking about. Only one Goblin lab, though. It's quite far out, which makes me a bit sad for my Shredder favoritism. So yeah, I would like the Goblin... It would be nice maybe if you had a Goblab here and a Goblab here or something. That way you give players the opportunity to each get themselves that going on. Scion says, I do map making streams. There are worse things to do on War 3. Oh yeah. Don't you think that the natural expansion is a bit too far forward? I'll probably get around to that in a moment. So perhaps have 2 Goblin Shredders, labs, and place them in the midsection. Oh, I did say that. Huh. It's funny because, you know, I don't really argue with myself. Like, I come back. This is like been a month since I actually made these comments, and this is literally what I just said, and I just read it afterwards. Put them in the midsection, opposite one another, somewhat close to the middle shops. Fuck me. It's weird. It's like coming across a parallel universe version of me who wrote this down, and it's actually saying what I'm thinking. Oh, sorry, it's PG-13 stream. Does the map allow 4 races to be balanced? I said 9 out of 10. Night Elf Ancients of War might hold some favour for fast creeping nearby the gold mines to give them a head start, but the rest seems fine. So, could you get an Ancient of War here? Here, creep this camp, and then waddle slowly over there. It's not too favourable because it's quite a long distance for an Ancient of War to travel because they're really slow. This is probably way more favourable. Ancient of War here, and then waddle over. But it's a ranged... Yeah, I think Ancient of War is strong here. Definitely. So there's a few things there, but you can't really build around everything. The path in resources. Is it fair for each race? I said human might struggle to pull off their fast expansion depending on the spawn position. So depending on where you spawn, you get a different type of gold mine. So depending on the spawn position, the gold mine at the bottom left would be quite horrid for human to do. So that's this one, which is basically the one up there. So if you spawned here, this would be quite bad for human to do. They would have a bit of a rough time. Although it's hardly a major concern. So what I'm saying is, a really good player could do this creep camp without too much difficulty, but you've got to remember that you've got to balance this around average players, and the average human player might end up losing like all of their militia trying to do this. This isn't that difficult for like me. I would know how to sort of manipulate around that, but I know that there are issues where some people can just, if the fight goes on too long or something, they just start to lose everything. This isn't exactly comfortable for human as well because of the slow character. And he also has Abolish, but I don't know if he actually uses his Abolish versus water elementals. The pathing looks solid with so much open space that it is carefully caressed by trees and doodads to help carve a super flexible pathway for any intended strategic gameplay with pretty much any race. So as you sort of like flow out here, you can see the pathing. You can just go through here, to here, to here, to here, to here. Look at that. It just flows. The cursor can just go anywhere and everywhere. And then you've got this more focalized middle area. But even that has like the multiple pathing with the waygate to escape. Or here, 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 here. You've got like 6 exits. So it's not like 2 exits or even 4. There's like 6. So it flows so well. It's just beautiful to look at. I know why I made this first. It's just so goddamn good to look at. Okay, creep camps and item drops. I gave it 9 out of 10. The level 2 permanent items from the Green Camp Knoll Wardens and Rogue Wizards might be a bit too powerful. So I'm not sure exactly which ones those are. Oh, level 2 permanent for this. Yeah, that's too powerful. And the Rogue Wizards. Where's the Rogue Wizard? Level 2 permanent. Yeah, that's too powerful. Those need to be nerfed. A Blade Master could collect a mighty stack of stats very easily and early. So Blade Master goes here, creeps that, goes here, creeps that. 2 level 2 items. Creep camps look fun and varied, as well as a plentiful too, with appropriate difficulty applied to their positions on the map and the item drops that are fair and varied as well. So, yeah, you just got all sorts of different things to creep. Wherever I look, it's just different stuff. You know, even the expansion gold mines, they're all different. They're all varied. Really is very, very good. Oh, it's so good. So good. I'm biased, as you can tell. So you want to look more at the natural bases. These are open enough for the players to build, I think, personally. It will get a little bit squished for this player and for this one. But they could always put like their arcane sanctums closer towards their other allies. It would be a bit clustered. I'm not, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of the whole 4 bases connected to each other. My personal favourite is something like Gold Rush or Market Square, where everyone is separate. But they're not too far from another. But, since we don't have any maps like this, this is fine. So the gold mines, they are a little tricky to get to. They flow and you can get to them, but they're very open, so they've got that. But because they're so close to the base, it's kind of okay that they're open. They can be punished from multiple angles by the looks of it. But they're so close to the main player's bases that they should really be able to hold on to those 3 gold mines. And if they want to get any other gold mines, they've really got to go much further. So that 4th player is going to have to work hard to secure their gold mine. Which there are multiple gold mines to enjoy. You just got to work harder to get it. Or work with your team to get it. Okay. Yes. Terrain. 15. I gave it 31 out of 35. So map visually pleasing in mediums of terrain. I said, this is some real artwork here. The asymmetrical still holds perfect balance for gameplay and really opens up the map as a fun playground to explore. The terrain doodad design and theme is just top notch, a real feast for the eyes. Aesthetics, my only complaint is that the round tiles are a little too dark. And when in the game, the top half of the map is harder to see with the fog of war, giving a slight advantage to the bottom screen, the bottom team. So this is the round tile. That's what I'm talking about. You can even see on the minimap, it looks quite dark. So when you look at this map and you're spawned here and you've got fog of war, if you look at these areas, depending on how bright your monitor is, this looks really, really dark. Whereas looking at this stuff is much more easier to work out, oh, I could do that creek camp later, or this creek camp, or... So I know you can't see them because you haven't explored them, but once you've explored them and then you've got the fog of war like left over, it's just a little too dark. I don't like that. For whatever reason, for my eyes, I don't like how it looks on the minimap. That darkness of the terrain. It feels like I can't see it as clearly as the bottom. And I think it's because I can't. It could be a real nitpicky thing, but if you just lightened up the... I know it looks gorgeous and everything, but it's just... The round tiles could just be replaced with something else. Okay, so is the map repetitive? 8 out of 10. Players will have a great time trying a multitude of creeping patterns and testing different strategies with each race, involving all sorts of units. So you can try all sorts of stuff. You can go archers, you can go dryads, you can go bears, you can go chimeras. You know, the map allows you to do it. I can see all of those units working. It's not like, oh, you never go this unit on this map because it's going to just... It's no point. It's going to be too slow and cumbersome. You can make Tauren, you can make air... Go full casters. I don't see any issues really with what type of units you want to build. The only downside would be that the very closed in spawning positions for the teams, which inevitably would make them hard to break down, especially if there are many towers. So siege would be very dominating toward a point. So I do actually counter my point there a little bit. Siege would actually be really strong in this. But on the bright side, siege is such a niche built thing, apart from mortar teams, I suppose. So you could have a really rough time versus siege. You would be rewarded if you had a player on your team focus on siege, I think. Because breaking through this base, if you've got a whole bunch of siege and a strong army, I don't know how you stop someone once they've got a bunch of mortar teams here and an army to protect it, and your team is protecting here. They've got an easier... It's easier to attack than it is to defend when it comes to siege, obviously. Unless you've got an equal amount of siege yourself and defense. But imagine those situations in 1 versus 1 where you're in your base and the opponent is tower rushing you. It's actually easier for them because their towers are always in range of everything you have and where you come out, whereas you're always stuck in your own base. So whilst you've got towers in your own base, fighting back, say... them, if they get too close, they've always got it easier because they've got all of that space to work with. Think of it like a castle, you know. You could be starved out. You can sit in the castle all day, but eventually you're going to run out of food and all that. Anyway, I'm going too deep with this. Out of curiosity, is there any reason why there are 14 neutral critters that are all raccoons? Could be more variety with the critters. Yeah. They're all raccoons. So you know you get sheep, pigs, frogs, rabbits. I think he just copy and pasted raccoons around the map. So for whatever reason, if you're a raccoon, this is the map for you. Creativity. Does this map bring anything new? This map offers many opportunities to all players, solo, team workers, gankers, micro and macro enthusiasts. There are even waygates, and they don't annoy me. So yeah, you've done well when you've put a waygate in your map and it doesn't annoy me. So top-notch marks from me. I really, really, really like this map. This is pretty much better than any map that is on the 4 versus 4 RT ladder pool right now, and that might even include Marketplace and Gold Rush. I have huge biases towards those maps, but objectively, I think this map is actually probably better, at least in terms of design. Artistically, but we'll see. Let's move on to the winner. First place. I mean, what better song to have in the background than Storm, Earth and Fire? What do I think of the expo? You have to put your hall in the middle of the path. Yes. I mean, you could have more trees. I agree. What you're saying, you could have more trees like around here to blockade a little bit, but because it's so close to the initial spawning positions, I feel like you're relatively safe here. You mean the gold mine could be moved back, right? Oh, what, further back here, and then you could build there and have a few more trees on either side. Yeah, I think it's more of a design thing that he's gone for there. That could look better, but I don't have a huge issue with it. Night Elf could even actually destroy those trees and put their Tree of Life there. So it could be a good gold mine for Night Elf. We better move on though, because we've already been like 6 hours. First place is... oh, the Rubian Passage. It got second from me and second from Sour. I gave it 80, Sour gave it 89. So let's take a look at that. such sexy music. From the power of the Horde. Ja 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 ja. Okay, that's all loaded up now, so gonna show you what this all looks like. This map got 80 out of 100 points for me, which is only 10 less than North Marsh. Sounds like a lot of points less, but it's not that bad, because after that it's pretty much like 70 points, then 60 points, then 50 points, then 40 points. So this is very highly marked. I'd say this is a really solid map with great starting locations and a fair looking map overall. Are the positions and distances between points of interest fair? There are 3 gold mines each, with a very tough one that makes it interesting to see which team can clear that gold mine so that all 4 players can mine additional gold. Hence why I think there are no gold mines in the middle to fight for. All players have something to strive for in this map, be it behind, to the side, or straight down the middle. So let's have a look at, say, for example, Red's position. So you would spawn here, you would have your buddy over here, you'd have your other buddies over here on this side. So you kind of got like 2 on the bottom, 2 on the side, and then they've got 2 on the side, 2 at the top. So in between each player, you've got something to do. You can either work as a team or just solo it. So there's the this Merc camp here. You can move forward to a more tough camp here. You can go further into the corner where there's quite a lot of creek camps to do, but they're a bit tougher. So you might want to group up with your buddy over here whilst the others are soloing further towards the middle of the map or doing their own gold mine. So you've got gold mine here, gold mine here, gold mine here. Those 3, they're really easy gold mines. They're pretty much guaranteed gold mines. And then you have these ones that are... Where was the 4th gold mine then? Where did I put... Oh no, sorry, yeah, that was it. That was a really tough one. Look at that. What the hell? 38 levels. You're going to have a tough time doing that, boys. You would need all the team, or at least a decent chunk, 2 players with some very heavy anti-air to be able to pull that one off for one of your teams. 15,000 gold in that mine. 12,500. So you get a bit more gold in it, but it's not like a huge amount more. I feel like there's some maps in the 4v4 RT ladder pool that have like, what, 20,000 gold in them or something stupid like that. Okay, oh, we're going back to Diablo 2 again, are we? Alright, let's pull this back again. Right. So, does the map allow the 4 races to be balanced? I'm struggling to find much fault with this map. Only the hard corner gold mine could be exploited by fast Tekken, Night Elf, or Undead with mass Gargs and Hippos for easy gold mine plus item reward. Otherwise, the map is beautifully open, yet not bare, so armies can maneuver at ease and push in different angles and splits. So you get a lot of stuff for doing this. Level 5 permanent. There's a level 4 permanent. There's level 1 permanent power-up, sorry, there, and level 1 power-up there. So it's quite rewarding indeed if you could find a way to do this creek camp quickly and not die. So if the opponents wanted to rush you, you could imagine people trying to straight tech on this map a little bit and getting punished for it by being rushed. So there's counterplay there. Pathing resources fair for each race. Resources might be a bit tight, but that encourages more combat between the teams to fight over the rewards in the middle. So you got the shop here, you got tavern here, lab there, then you got all sorts of stuff in the middle here with the marketplace smack bang there, and then it goes back to the market and the shops, and then you got this corner sort of bonus creep camp. You don't have to do it, but it's there, and I like people that put effort in there, put like some strong tough creep camp. Why leave wasted open space? Put something there for people to do. It's like a bonus. If you've got like a really strong army and you can't kill your opponents yet, do it. Get a nice reward for it. Resources, yeah, I did that. Oh, right. My only issue with the pathing are that the 2 green scorpion camps, green camps, that are not put neatly to one side or tucked into the cave trees to avoid aggro. Instead, they are open, causing... Where are they? Ah, there. They are open, causing potential frustration for players. It's a small thing, I know, but this map leaves few faults, so I have to be picky. So these could be put to like one side. You can destroy the trees a bit more, put them to one side. They're just kind of weird. Although they're not terrible because the players are here and here. So if they're moving outwards, they should never aggro this anyway, unless they are deliberately coming this way. And they've got the path in here to stop them from aggroing. They're unlikely to aggro. It's such a tiny thing. Such a tiny thing, really. It's only if you were coming from this angle or up from there, going back and forth. It's such a small thing, though. Creep camps and item drops. The creep camps are balanced correctly for the most part. The exceptions being that the shop should be a couple of less creeps. So 17, it's not too bad, but I think the shop should be more like level 12, 10 to 12, so that most people can access it fairly early on for boost of speed, star for teleportation, dust of appearance if they got Blade Master in their base. When you've got to go through like level 17 creatures, you can take a lot of damage in that process. Not to mention the shop's really quite far away to even do that. Should be a couple less creeps, allowing easier access to items, and the corner gold mines being far too rewarding despite its apparent difficulty. I think it would be quite easy to overcome with the right race unit micro. My other issue is the copy and paste of many creep camps. They are a bit too repetitive, perhaps because the tile set only allows so many creeps. It's not too bad. There's trolls there, there's skeletons there, there's polar bear. That's not too bad. Maybe it's closer towards the middle. It gets a bit copy and pasty. Yeah, you got spiders there, you got spiders there, you got spiders there, spiders there. So it's more of just the middle. It gets a bit spammy. And then the skeleton ones are all copy and pasted. So you just basically copy and pasted a bit in the middle. The Rubian Passage, spiders. Yes, I get it. But spiders all look the bloody same. Like I said, it's because it's the tile set. And each tile set has different creatures, creeps. I'm just thinking at it from a player's point of view. But it feels a bit too samey, mainly in the middle of the map. I think the item balance is pretty fantastic though. Creeps don't reward much, but this is how it should be, except for the more powerful ones. The balance here is very good, so I'm not going to go over each of the creeps drops, but just trust me that for the most part the creeps are well balanced. I gave it 27 out of 35 for terrain. The terrain looks great, open and flowing, with enough design taken into account to allow gameplay. The doodad placements is sparse, but used wisely to fill out the map. So I'm talking about the middle belt. You got like these kind of as doodads. They're really like cliff tiles, but you know, they still kind of count as doodads in my opinion because they're blocking sort of thing. So they give it a bit of a feel, but they're not overly blocking. They're still open pathways, but it really adds to the theme of the map. And you've got like this whole wide section to come round here if you want, or you can cut through the middle. So there's a lot of maneuverability on this map. Heck, Chief! Thank you very much there for the sub. Much appreciated.
16 months, but last
Motion
month
sense.
I made 13 months LUL, like the Frost map.
Thank you. Yeah, you can sub like 16 times lately. But thank you very much there, Motion Sense. What was I up to? Oh yes, the theme is definitely strong. It looks great, and the feature creep camps accentuate this theme greatly. I don't use that word very often, but I am complimenting those spiders as well at the same time. I'm just saying it's a bit copy pasta, just a bit copy pasta, like the skeletons, spiders. Spiders, skeletons, skeletons, spiders, skeletons, skeletons, spiders, and so forth. Just that middle bit. Just maybe change the creeps here. Maybe if you just change the goblin labs and something there and there. Otherwise, the theme is really good. It makes sense that it's spiders. I get it, but it's just too fucking many. I mean, we have a look. Unit palette. Neutral hostile. So you got all of this. You could have some scorpions. Or you could have like Magnetor. and Mammoth. So there is, and Tusker. So you got options there. And even the broken ones, but I think you got the broken ones like over here. If you don't, then they could have also been over here. So there are quite a lot of creeps that you could have there. Anyway, with a lack, I said, is the map repetitive? With a lack of alternative gold mines and straight line between the two teams, there will be repetitiveness. However, the map is left open enough to try to combat this as best as possible. So you basically do have a one side versus the other, which is all maps, but it's nice and open enough to allow different pathing and flowing and gameplay. But generally speaking, you're probably going to be doing the same thing, getting those free gold mines straight away and then fighting for the creeps. Okay, creativity, 9 out of 15. I don't see that much. There is new. I don't see that much new per se, but at least the map will definitely bring great gameplay to the players. I'd welcome this map on the ladder pool. I think this is a worthy winner. My favourite map is the previous map. It is more unique, but this map would be fantastic to play on 4 versus 4 RT. I think it's very well made. The theme is gorgeous. The creeps are good. The design and the balance is really good. Like, I'm not going to bore you with it, but I did go over a lot of the creeps when I did check this map the first time. And I remember being very satisfied with the overall balance of drops. As you can see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like 12, 4, 8, 4, 5. Then you've got power-ups. Loads of power-ups, which is a lot of fun. And then charge, 2, 3, 4. So it's good. It is really well done. Look at it with Reforge in mind. Yeah, it would be really gorgeous. You can talk a lot without some water. Yeah, well, I've been struggling the whole time. But hopefully you guys appreciated this and enjoyed this, because that is the end. That is the end. We are at a conclusion with Nerubian Passage being the winner. 80 for me, 89 for Sour, and 15 on the poll, with a final score of 74,000. So it's pretty damn close between the top 3 maps: Nerubian Passage, North Marsh Ruin, and Northern Felwood. I think, in hindsight, I might have put Northern Felwood at a higher score myself. I think 63 is a bit harsh, but I think it was because I had a bias towards Golden Oasis and Desert Mirage with what they were trying to do and the potential of those maps. So I felt like Northern Felwood falls behind a little bit. Plus, I really didn't like the middle of Northern Felwood, and it is a little bit repetitive. So should have maybe given that a bit of a higher score. It's Sander is a sub Oasis. Stop distracting me, High Rise. So there you go. I still think my winner is North Marsh Ruin, and the Nerubian Passage, without doubt, a worthy winner. Not to take anything away at all, I think without doubt a worthy winner. I think you guys have voted fantastically. The top maps are where they should be, basically. The top 5 maps, without doubt, they should all be up there. Those top 3 in particular, actually, I agree with the most. I think almost spot on for me. So if we do the image, there's your winners. So you can see first, second, third. Those are definitely really, really good. But there's also some cool honorable mentions, like the 10th place winner. I feel like that's actually would be quite a lot of fun to play on ladder. I would give that like an honorable mention, that one. And, you know, Legion's Demise actually has some quality to it, just some balance to the creeps, but it's not really supposed to be for 4v4, I don't think. So yeah, there's some gems there, definitely. And I think some truly worthy maps of 4v4 RT. So it'd be nice if Blizzard actually did take these on board, because they did put some maps that belong to the community on the 1 versus 1 ladder pool the last time. So I don't see why they couldn't change it for 4v4 RT as well. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. That will do it for me. That's the end of this video anyway. So I guess what I could do, if I put a straw poll or something, I don't know if they've got like a thing that you can still vote on. I don't think you can. but I could always put a straw poll and you can sort of cast your own vote. Please just vote once so you can get more of an accurate result. And then that vote would go towards which map you thought was your #1 map. So only vote on one map, and that would be your #1 map. And that way you can kind of get a glimpse as to what you guys are thinking. So thank you again. Have a great day. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. It took a fair bit of setting up to do, so it's not something I will do very often though. But it is something that was fun to do at least. So take care. See you later.